Hi everyone. In this video, I am going to show to you guys the recent interview questions which has been asked in Cognizant. As I got this info from different sources and I just want to make sure you need to prepare well while attending any interview. Here, I'm not sure whether you will get the same kind of questions or not, but this will cover or boost up your confidence while attending the interview in Cognizant. As a cloud engineer or DevOps engineer, as SRE, whatever the role is there, you can expect some of the questions. Here, some of the questions I had mentioned here. If you're lucky, you will get the similar kind of questions. Otherwise, sometimes maybe the questions may be varied based on your experience and knowledge. Let us jump into the questions which has been asked. So the question is how to analyze static code. Here, if you are working as a cloud engineer, if you have the code in your project, how we are going to analyze? The question is here. And the answer is, guys, I just make the answers in my way. Suppose if you want to elaborate those questions in your own manner, you can do that. But in order to understand, I just make some kind of definitions here that will help out you. If you know this, then well and good. Otherwise, you can follow this as well. Here you can answer this question like this. In my project, I use this static code analysis tool like SonarQube, Checkstyle or ESL Lint. Whatever the tool you are using in your project, you can mention that to scan the code without execution. What do you mean by static code analysis? Means without executing the code, if you are going to analyze the code, that will be called as static analysis. What we will get? This tool helps to detect security vulnerabilities, coding standard violations, performance issues, and maintain risks early in the pipeline. Means here it will help out to find out the vulnerabilities. Any violations are there, any performance issue are there in the code. So we will get the info from this if you made the analysis on static code. And the other kind of question is, what are the important files in manifest file in Kubernetes? If you are well and good in Kubernetes, then you will get some kind of other questions as well. But as a basic question, this thing will ask you in interview. What is the main important files in Kubernetes? In Kubernetes, important manifest file includes, as you know, in Kubernetes, we are going to implement manifest file. In manifest file, we have multiple important components are there like pod, deployment, service, config map, secret, persistent volume chain, and ingress rules. These defines how workload run, how they are exposed, and how strong configurations are managed. Means while you design any kind of manifest file, you need to mention each and everything, like what are the ingress traffic is there, what is the configuration, what kind of services are you are going to deploy. There are a lot of things, sir. How much volume you are required, so for which ports it need to be exceeded. So these all things you are going to define in the manifest file. The things how you define in the manifest file, accordingly the Kubernetes cluster is going to run. So in this way you can explain the important files in manifest file. The another question is how to create variables in Azure DevOps tools. In Azure DevOps, variables can be created in multiple ways. Like in pipeline UI, you have the variable tab. There you can be able to define the variables. Otherwise, you can define in the YAML pipeline using variable block. You know, we have two different kinds of pipelines are there. One is classic pipeline, that is nothing but user interface. Under variable tab you can have. Otherwise, we have YAML pipeline is also there. In the YAML pipeline as well, we can define the variables block. We are going to create one variable block. Inside of the variable block, we are going to define the variables. Or we can store securely in a variable group or key vault for reuse across pipelines. So in this way, there are multiple ways are there, like three ways: UI, YAML interface, or we can securely store in key vault or variable groups. You can answer like this. And the another question you can expect is how to integrate Azure DevOps tool with GitHub. You can answer like this. To integrate Azure DevOps with GitHub, First of all, we need to connect the GitHub repo through service connection in Azure DevOps. You know, if you want to integrate any kind of third-party application, first of all, you need to create one kind of service connection. How you will be able, you know, the GitHub is a third-party service. You need to integrate that third-party service with the Azure DevOps pipeline. So for that, you need to establish the service connection. Then link it to the pipeline using the GitHub repository URL. This allows build, CI/CD and workflows to trigger directly from GitHub commits. Okay. In this way, we can be able to commit the GitHub with Azure DevOps. And what do you mean by service hooks? The another question is, what do you mean by service hooks? Service hooks in Azure DevOps let you connect DevOps events like build complete, work item updated to external services such as GitHub, Jenkins, Slack or Azure Functions. Means if you want to integrate any kind of third-party service or any other thing, then you are going to use the service hook. I hope this question will trigger you multiple times, guys, because of I heard so many of the guys are expecting this question. What do you mean by service hooks? And suppose if you have a .NET project in your environment, what are the commands you are going to use in your project to build the .NET project? Here you can mention like .NET build, .NET test and .NET publish -c release -o publish. And if you are using a Java project, then mostly we are using the Maven in order as a build tool. You can explain the Maven commands as well. So this is also one of the expected question, like because of whatever the code is there, whether it is a .NET or whether it is Java, whether it is a React means Node.js, you need to build that code. So what kind of commands, what kinds of tools you are using to build the project? This is the expected question you can expect. And tell me about the architecture of Kubernetes. If you are well and good in Kubernetes, you will get some kind of in-depth questions as well. But the basic question is, tell me the architecture of Kubernetes. The architecture of Kubernetes is just like a master worker architecture. The commands which has been stated from the master, it will goes to the worker. Based on the master action, the worker node will do the works. The control plane consists of API server, etcd, control manager, scheduler. Manage the cluster state. While worker nodes runs workload using kubelet, kubeproxy and container runtime. Each service has their individual works. Each is designed for different kind of service. Generally, the API server acts as an entry point. etcd cluster is used to store cluster data. Scheduler, what the scheduler will do? It is going to assign the pods and worker executes them inside the containers. So here the architecture of Kubernetes is master worker architecture. And what is Docker? What do you mean by Docker? As you know, Docker is a containerized technology. By using, we are going to create the containers. Containers are lightweight and it is far more advanced than the virtual machines. Okay, why it is more important? Because of it is lightweight. It doesn't hold the OS, but it holds OS files, but it is very negligible in size. So because of nowadays, if you are going to plan any kind of big application, you are going to use the Docker. And tell me about the Docker file. Why Docker file? You know, the Docker file, the simple purpose of Docker file is to automate the image creation. In Docker, what you will do? You are going to create an image. With the help of the image, you will be able to create the Docker container. So the Docker file is nothing but a simple text file with a set of instructions to build a Docker image. Means whatever the things you are required, you are going to mention in a Docker file, it is in the text format file. If you run the Docker file, what will happen? The text file will be converted into the image and that image will be used to create the container. Okay, what the image defines? The base image, it copies code, installs dependencies, sets environment variables, exposes ports and specifies the command to run the application. Okay, it's just like an image creation. how we are going to customize the OS. In the similar way, with the help of the Docker file, we can be able to create the customized Docker image. With the help of the Docker image, we can be able to create the Docker container. And one more thing is, what is deployment group? A deployment group in Azure DevOps is a collection of target missions on-premises or cloud, whether it is in on-premises or cloud, where you install the deployment agent. Means the deployment group is a collection of target missions. If your VMs or target things is in cloud or whether it is in on-premises, it doesn't matter. You need to have some kind of deployment agent is required. It allows you to deploy application to multiple servers in a coordinated way using the release pipeline. Generally, in the release pipeline, what we will do? From build pipeline, we will get the artifact. Whatever the artifact which has been generated from the build pipeline, with the help of the release pipeline, we are going to deploy on the targeted environment. Here, in the release pipeline, we are going to use the deployment group. What the deployment group will do? It is going to group of target servers or missions. If you select particular target group, particular deployment group, whatever the VMs are there in that particular deployment group, the application will be deployed over that particular target group like deployment. In this way, you can explain the scenario like to the interviewer. And what are the different options we'll get while merging the code? Here, in coming to the repository, we have main services are there in Azure DevOps like repos, pipelines, artifacts, test plans, something are there. So while doing the merging of code, what are the different options you have? Let me explain. For these questions, you need to answer like this. While merging the code, the common options are merge conflict, squash merge, and rebase and merge. Merge keeps merge commit. Merge, if you use the merge commit, what it will do? It will keep the full history. Suppose if you use the squash merge, combines all commits into one. This is the basic difference. And if you use rebase and merge, rewrites commits on the top of the target branch for cleaner history. So you need to understood the basic differences based on the merge type. You are going to select how the things will be happen in the backend. You need to understand it. So refer this, guys. This will help out you while answering the interview questions. And how to resolve merge conflict. Here, in order to resolve a merge conflict, I pull the latest code, identify conflict files, manually edit them to keep the correct changes, mark them as resolved with git add, and then commit and push the merge. Generally, you know, for the same code, if two developers has been developed, if you commit the file, what happens? The merge conflict will be happen. There is no automation way to resolve the merge conflict. In manual way only, you need to resolve the merge conflict. As you know, we had already discussed the same thing in the Azure DevOps sessions as well. If you want to retrieve it, recollect it, just please refer to the earlier videos. Then you will have some kind of wonderful understanding about the merge conflict as well. Okay. Okay, guys. This is for not these interview questions is not for freshers. It's for experienced as well. And as I told to you earlier, I'm not sure you will get the same questions in your interview, but some of the questions are going to repeat for every interview. Okay, so if you prepare these questions, maybe if the same questions has been repeated again, that you can easily answer those questions. And questionnaire is different by person to person, scenario based. So be prepared well for any kind of interview. Getting of shortlist is more important. And if you got any, if you are shortlisted for any company, please prepare well, especially for any kind of this Cognizant interview. Just please refer this video and have knowledge on the questions which I had shown out to you right now. And if you found if you get the same questions in your interview, in your Cognizant interview, just please mention in my comment section. Accordingly, that will be useful to the other guys who is going to watch my video. They will have the understanding. Okay, guys, and this is all about this video, and I will come to you with the next video with the new topic. Until signing off, thank you. Bye bye.